your family was
Okay.
kind of like what you said.
Okay. Well, you know,
Wait, stand by, please. Yeah, roll.
okay. One thing that I found very interesting myself when I looked at my family tree was that my grandfather, my great grandfather, and his father for him was Zulus. Um, Although I realize I'm not from Africa, you know, but I know where my people come from on my father's side of the family. Um, so I think this was very important for me to teach my kids to take a map and actually pinpoint, Zulu territory. It's educational for them, and also is I think they will benefit from actually knowing where their grandfather was from and their great grandfather. Um, on their mother's side of the family, their grandmother had a lot of Indian, you know. So to take and give them the education on the Native American, you know, on their mother's side, that's very important also. So I want them to know both cultures, where I come from as well as their mother, you know. I think right now families have got to take and bring the multicultural in their homes to take and teach their kids multicultural. When I was in school many years ago, they wasn't teaching multicultural. You know, I didn't never have the opportunity to go to school with a Native American, Hispanic. I went to school with all blacks. You know, nowadays it's different for kids, and I think it'll be very important for kids to know this. You know, um, my mother still reside in Florida. You know, and on my mother's side of the family, she had a little Indian. Um, and for me to take and do a family tree, you know, it was very important to me. It was educational also, for me to take and find the interest to do this. And believe me, after I'd done it, it opened my eyes to a lot of things, you know. So to take and keep my kids on the track of, educating them more and more, and I feel very good as a parent when my kids ask me questions, about my father or my grandfather, and how he was, you know. So I think that more families have got to do this, educate your kids, get really involved in your kids, you know. So that's that's where I'm at right now, and I really enjoy doing it, you know. Yes.
How's the audio sound? Sounded okay? Okay, now let's say take two. I want you.
Let me read. Let me read.
Are you gonna refocus?
Okay.
I want you to tell me how you promote reading in your family. Wait. That's what we're gonna talk about next.
Okay.
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 Be ready.
Okay. Well, I think, when I look at my kids, um, I taught myself how to read, you know, and, you have so much literacy now. You have a lot of people who don't know how to read, and, I don't think I was in that number once
Okay,
upon a.
cut. You mean you have so much illiteracy?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you start over? Say take two reading.
Okay. Take two reading. Okay. I think that, in order to learn how to read, I taught myself how to read. And I think you have a lot of people that is very illiterate, you know, and I think they are very afraid to let other people know that they can't read. You know, it's nothing to be ashamed of. You know, my mother is 74 years old, and she just got a high school diploma after giving birth to 24 kids, and 16 of us lived. You know, so I look at my kids, and when my kids are sitting here reading something, and when I see them skip over a word because they don't know it, I make them go back. If you don't know a word, go look the word up, find the definition of the word, then start over again. Where when you come back to that word, you know exactly what the word means, the definition of the word, and you could proceed. It's very important to take an hour and a half each night to take and read with my kids. It's very important. You know, without reading, uh, you would never be able to take and read contracts, letters that your friends read, that write you from other places. So it is impaired that I think more families have got to get off into a program reading to their kids and with their kids every evening or every other evening, you know. And I think, it's all about involvement, in reading, you know. So that's how I take a look at it right now.
How do you go about reading to your family? And I want you to say, I go about instilling
W-
reading in my
Yeah.
family by blah, blah, blah.
Well,
Say take three and
o-
then say that.
okay. Take three. The way I take and go by, get involved in reading with my family. My kids bring books home. The purpose, I say, okay, you bring a book home from school, and your teacher give you that book, and she expects you to take and read that book. I have someone to read that book to you, because the next day, if your assignment, you got to be able to tell something about the story. You know, Melvana is on my left, Maisha on my right. We're talking about 6 and 5. I know to take and read the Latin. I know that they don't know the words, but I read to them. But I stop in the middle and say, okay, give me an idea of what story I'm reading to you. Tell me some things about the story. Then that shows me that my kids is really paying attention, to the reading that I'm giving them, you know. And I think it's very important, and it's very important for your kids to pay attention when you are reading to them, you know. When I start reading, I don't want them to take and be looking off. They hear the phone ring. I don't want them to take a break to get the phone. You know, you block that out of your mind. I want you to take and I want your full attention when I'm reading you a story, because after the story is ended, I will be asking you to tell me parts of the story. If you can't tell me, then that tells me that you were not paying attention. And if you go back to school the next day, and your teacher asks you, well, did you read the story? Well, yes, my father read it to me. And you can't tell your class anything about the story. Then it would show the class as well as your teacher that although your father read to you, you was not paying attention. So I'm somewhat old-fashioned, and I want my kids to be able to read. So to take and work with them now, it's my job to work with them now and to help them learn how to read. You can't put everything on the teacher, because as you know, a lot of things start at home. It begins at home, because at home you are the first teacher that your kids come in contact with. After they leave home, then their teacher becomes the second person. So it starts at home. So if you start reading to your kids at home, and when they go to school, it won't be anything new to them, because they're getting the same thing at home. So I think it's very imperative that parents really get involved and start reading more to their kids. Yes. Yeah.
Very good. Now let's talk about discipline. That's the last one.
Okay.
We just need to get some cutaways reading here.
Okay.
How do you go about disciplining your children?
Well, number one,
I
this.
want you to say, take one.
Oh,
I
okay,
discipline
okay.
my children by blah, blah, blah.
Okay, okay. Take one. I discipline my kids probably different than anybody else. A strap don't prove anything.
Yep.
A kid do not learn by beating. Uh, if your kid do something wrong, if my kid do something wrong, I should say, first of all, you take and you explain to your child what they have done wrong that you disagree with. You talk to them. You don't holler at them. When you holler at a kid, you frighten them, then you make them get off into a shell. Where every time you say something to them, they started jumping. That's abuse. I know I can't raise my kids or discipline my kids like my mother did me, but yet and still, I still have some of the same values, and morals. And I believe that if you do something wrong, I'm going to hold you accountable. You like to watch television. Well, I take your privileges from you. One new method they have in school now that they call timeout. You go sit up in a corner of the class, with your back turned to the class. I can look back. I experienced that when I was in school many years ago. So I asked myself, did it help? Yes, it did. So but that was when I was in school, and now this is a different time. This is a different generation. I think more parents now, you have got to talk to your kids more. You know, um, when your kid do something wrong, instead of you reaching for a strap or the first thing and pop your kid, no, that's not the answer. You know, the answer is to take and sit down and explain to them what they did. You dislike what they did, but when you talk to them and explain it to them, you could believe the next time that they go that way, they're gonna say, "Oh, wait a minute. This is a no-no because my father, he disapproved of this and my mother disapproved of this." And believe kids, they do know. Kids know right from wrong. You know, but when you holler at a child, you are hurting that child because believe when that child grow up, he will have somewhat of a complex, you know, from being around all the hollering, you know, where it's so easy to just talk to a kid and explain right from wrong. A lot of kids know right from wrong, but as a parent, you got to continue being there, letting them know, because a kid will stray off, you know. So, that's how I look at discipline, you know. Um, some other parents look at it different, you know. But you have got to talk to your kid and tell them right from wrong, you know. 'Cause I think when you talk to them, they will take and understand, you know. And excuse me, and time out, it does work, you know. Yes.
Can I go to the
Now, what
bathroom?
I want is
Yes.
to get a shot of you reading with the children.
Okay.
Now, see, what do we do the top part over?
What top part?
Yeah. What was the very first thing?
Multiculturalism?
Yeah.
You want to do that again?
Yeah.
Okay. You ready, Clint? Let's go back to the Zulu top.
Oh.
Going back to Zulu time.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
There is a Zulu time in the army, right?
Yeah.
They use that Zulu time. I wonder what that means, though. Do you know?
And not being there on time.
Yeah. Yeah. But you heard it, but you didn't hear it that much. You know. Now, Melvina, are you ready to sit down? Huh?
Dad, you called me?
No, I did not call you. I want you to get back in the room. I want you to close the door. That go for you, Dominique, and Clifford. And I mean right now.
Can I read?
Excuse me. What did I say?
Oh,
What did I say?
can I read?
Okay, let's go back to Zulu time.
Okay. Okay. Take one. Multicultural. I looked at myself, looked at my kids, and I felt that the interest I had for doing a family tree was something that I always wanted to do. It was very interesting once I'd done it to find out that my grandfather and my great-grandfather were Zulu warriors. Then again, as I look at my kids' grandmother, my mother, she had a little Indian, but their mother, they had a lot of Indian, So here's two cultures that I think you have to take and educate your kids and let them know exactly where they come from, where their parents come from. No, I'm not from Africa, My forefathers are, you know. I think it's very important that you sit down, you read to your kids about your culture, you explain it to them, and even if you can get pictures, you show pictures, I've had pictures of Zulu warriors. They made a movie, Shaka Zulu. You had great kings and queens, in the Zulu tribe. Then you go back and you look at the Watusis, all of it is beautiful and black, And I want my kids to understand, what it really meant for my grandfather and his father to be Zulu warriors, I want them to know how it was for their grandmother, to be Native American, um, because when you look at the Native American, Indians are very beautiful, The red man is very beautiful skin, So to educate your kids, on multicultural, hey, you have got to do it because when I came up, I did not, I didn't have the opportunity to experience going to school with nothing but blacks. I went to a high school with 1,200 blacks. Nowadays, kids, you have a rainbow of different nationalities. Um, I've always been curious of spending time with uh, a family of Greek, to learn how, to experience having Greek food, you know, as well as I know they'd be curious about soul food. Um, I had a chance to take and go to Umatilla Indian Reservation, and I had never had Indian bread, and the baked salmon. I mean, it was fantastic. That was the experience that I experienced. But now I want my kids to experience it more so now for them than for myself, you know, because it's going to be educational for them as well. I think it would be something very interesting for them to know because they can say, hey, I've learned something different, and it would be beautiful for them to experience. So just by me knowing that I have Zulu blood that runs in my body and it runs in my kid's body, it's an honor. It's really an honor to be a Zulu, you know. Although my birth certificate, it's going to say Negro. But deep inside, I know my culture and I know I'm not a Negro. I know I'm a Zulu. So, hey, it's something I live with every day, and I'm proud of it. It's nothing to be ashamed of. I don't care where you come from or what color you are. Be proud of your heritage. And I want my kids to learn that, and I want them to take and know that, hey, my great-grandfather was a Zulu, and my grandmother was a Native American. She has some Indian blood in her. So that's the key, multicultural. I think more parents have got to take in and do family trees. Let their kids know exactly where they come from. Yes. Maisha, turn.
My foot died.
Clinton. Clinton.
Okay.
Look, is to catch a rainbow. Okay. Okay. Flip it. Okay. Now, we start off by saying, "What will I wear?" by David Booth. Here's my hat. It is orange. Here's my T-shirt. It is red. Here's my belt, and it is yellow. Here are my jeans. They are blue. Right? Okay. So here are my socks. They are green. Here are my shoes. They are purple. Now what? He had a lot of different colors on, didn't he? So that's the color of a rainbow. Okay. So here's a rainbow. Sometimes it's high as my closet. Okay. In the park. My dog and I like the park. We feed the ducks. We buy ice cream. We skip. We play catch.
We gut rope.
Yes.
Yeah.
We read. We swim. We have a picnic. We fly kites. So they do a variety of things, right? Right? Maisha, right? Okay. We play with our friends. We ride our bikes. Okay. Hurrah for Me by Remy Chaplin, Lillian Moore, and Vera B. Williams. Whatever I was, whatever I'll be, hurrah for you, hurrah for me. Whatever you do, whatever you'll be, hurrah for you, hurrah for me. Hurrah for us, whatever we be, hurrah for you, hurrah for me. Okay? Say, hurrah for me, hurrah for you. So it's like you have a whole circle of people, and everyone is happy, Okay? So do baby bears sit in chairs? Okay? And it's by Ethel and Leonard Kessler. Do baby bears sit in chairs? Comb their hair, wear underwear? No. But they roll down the hill just as I do. Okay? Can kangaroos read the news? Play peekaboo, sing skip to my loop? Okay?
My darling.
Oh, no. Well, they can hop, 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 just as I do. Okay? And you got a kangaroo with his baby in a pouch right here. And kangaroos, they take They carry their babies in their pouch. You know? Okay. See, I'm hopping, I'm jumping, I'm crawling, I'm rolling, falling, and boom. So when I say boom, she came to a standstill. Right?
Where's she at right there?
She's rolling. She's falling here, and then boom. You know? Okay. Let's say, now this right here is Canada alphabet. Canada is north of us. It's on the other side of Seattle. When you leave Seattle, Washington, you will hit Canada. Huh? Okay? Now this is the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Say the alphabets with me. H, I, J, K, L, M, N. Write it down with ink and pen. O, P, Q, R, S, and T. Read it back out loud to me. U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Now it's always in your head. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Okay. And show what a Z right here, between the W and the Y, he fell down. You know? Okay. The School by John Benjamin.
I think we have enough.
Okay. Okay. When do I go to school? I learn to read and to write, sing and sing songs. Okay. Eat my lunch and paint pictures. Okay. Play games, make friends. I'm quite sure you do have friends in your class, Melvin. Huh? Don't you have friends in your class?
What?
Do you have friends in your class, Maisha? I'm quite sure you have more than one friend in your class, Melvin. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. You know,
Talk about this one. How do you go about disciplining your family? And say, my name is such and such. I have 3 wonderful children and different ages and blah, blah, blah.
Okay, my name is Paul Charles. I'm here to talk a little bit about discipline your children. I have 3, Danielle Horsley, who's 12, DeAndre Charles, who's 5, and Elisa Charles, who is 3. Were you going to speak, or did you? Okay.
Okay, don't do this because it picks up.
Okay. It's really weird for me to talk about discipline because I grew up in a really large family. And the only way we did discipline was basically whipping each other. Or it was, I always told myself the way that I was brought up discipline, I would never do my kids. Some of the methods worked back then and some of them didn't. Now I try to talk it out with the kids, but my voice is heavy. The kids are really.
don't hit the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Beating up all our equipment.
I told you I wasn't used to this.
That's okay.
That's all right.
No, don't worry
Okay, I
about
like you just, Mr. Charles, say, take 2
Okay.
and start from the beginning.
Okay. Take 2.
it. I can do it.
Don't beat the table now.
My name is Paul Charles, and I'm here to talk a little bit about discipline. My 3 kids are Danielle Horsley, who's 12, DeAndre Charles, who's 6, and Elisa Charles, who is 3.
How do you go about disciplining your family?
Okay. The way I discipline my kids is, well, I'm trying to think about this.
You want
Is
some time to think?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about
Why
it.
don't I share this?
That's what we're trying to do, is get parents to think of another way of disciplining their children.
Well, whichever the way they're doing it. Okay. Let them
But however, if
I
you
do
do
all the
believe in spare the rod, spoil the child, if you do believe like that, then we'll just talk about reading.
Yeah, see, I do all the yelling. I don't want to yell at them. That wouldn't
I
get
did
said.
all the yelling.
I busted you very good.
See, so I don't think I was a good one to do this.
Okay, we're rolling.
Hi, I'm Bobby Charles, and This is my husband, Paul Charles, and we have 3 children. I have a daughter, Danny Horsley, that's 12 years old. We have a son, DeAndre Charles, that is 6 years old, and a daughter, Elisa Charles, that's 3 years old. And we're going to talk about disciplining our children. And basically, we try to go by setting a structure and rules they're supposed to follow. And we have a chart on happy faces and sad faces. And whoever gets the most happy faces that month gets to choose what activity we get to have, like Toys R Us or shopping or Discovery Zone or Chuck E. Cheese. And another favorite for the oldest child is going to the library, going out to dinner. And for the third child is
A little bit of anything.
little bit of anything. And if they don't follow rules that month, then they don't get to do their favorite activity.
Where did you come up with this chart idea? And please preface your statement by saying, we started using a chart because blah, blah, blah.
Okay. We started using a chart because the yelling method, the spanking method, we didn't feel the kids were learning anything from that. Hitting them, I didn't feel they learned from that. I grew up with the belt, and I felt I learned a lot from it. I learned fear, and I feel that, you know, a lot of kids can be out of trouble if they have something to fear. But I didn't feel that I didn't want my kids to go through getting spanked with a belt or extension cord or a switch from a tree. I wanted to go a different way because I didn't like the belt, but I feared the belt, and that kept me out of trouble. And I'm stuck right there.
Well, you said enough. I was wondering if you could show us a chart that you use, please. Do you have it hanging up somewhere?
Do we still have it in the
Let me get an establishing shot of him, just sitting in the room and talking.
Okay, you guys just talk among yourselves.
Well, no, they can talk to you, because I just want to establish them.
Nisi went to get it.
So if I ask your son, what are some of the rules in the household, he'll be able to tell me, right? Okay,
Yeah, see, because
Rule is like a chore.
yeah.
okay.
But
Like,
see, me and Bobby grew up different in terms of discipline. I was more. My family was really large. Hers was small, and it was no talking to. It was just whoopings right off the top. Me myself, I do believe in, you know, the last resort, letting the kid know that it's business, and do, you know, a few spankings, but it's nothing like a beating like, you know, you normally used to. The way I grew up.
okay, can we get you on camera saying that? Just stay where you are. I just want to, excuse me a minute, please.
Daniel, can you please show him?
Rolling.
Me and Bobby have a different style of basically our disciplines because of the way we grew up. In my large family, there was no questions asked. It was, you did it, you know, you get hit with whatever around, you know, with the fist or with the belt, extension cord, something picked up and thrown at you. When I became a parent, I didn't think that style, because I was always so scared of that style, I didn't think that style was the best style. I know sometimes when I was little, I needed whippings, you know, because the things I did, I was so bad. Just enough to let me know that my mom and dad meant business. I couldn't take advantage of them. So as, you know, as I grew up and I had my own kids, we basically try to talk it out first. There's a lot of different methods that we do throughout the house to avoid the whooping part. Me, as being a male, my voice is sort of deep, so all I got to do is raise my voice, and it puts a little fear into the kid's heart. And where they could just stop and say, okay, Dad, I'm sorry, or, you know, okay, I do it like this. But for a last resort, if they just, you know, repeatedly do something and get a little bit too bad, then I would kind of spank them on their butts. Not the oldest child, the youngest two. The oldest, you know, she's well disciplined. She knows we have a lot of different other methods for her. But for the two youngest, that's what we do.
Well, while we have the mic on you, let's talk about reading. How do you go about developing reading with your family? The reading
Well,
skills.
yeah, it was basically a group effort around here.
Oh, excuse
we're-
me, could you say one way, start from the beginning, this
Okay.
is another video. My name is, I'm sorry, what's your first name?
Paul.
Paul Charles, and these are my family, blah, blah, blah. And one way we develop reading in our family is to blah, blah, blah.
Okay, my name is Paul Charles, and my family, I have a family of 3. Daniel Horsley, who's 12, DeAndre, who is 6, and Elisa, who's 3. One of our methods on developing reading, I thought it was really nice because Bobby, when the kids were just young, she always took them to the libraries. She got Danielle really interested in books. And we're lucky to have the oldest and then the middle and then a small one because they're trying to follow each other. So Danielle reads all the time. And she reads to the kids and we read to the kids. We have certain type of toys that we purchase at Christmas times and birthdays and throughout the year that helps the learning on the reading skills. It's really neat now because my son he's just turning 6 and he's in kindergarten, and he wants to learn how to read so bad, and we have his older sister helping him out. We help him out on a lot of the different sounds that he needs to make and so forth. He has tons of books, and he just can't wait to read them. So I feel that we're lucky that we have an oldest girl who's 12, what we can't do, she does for them, and they look up to her. And that's about it then.
Great. Okay, now
Going places with my friends, spending time at different places.
okay, we're ready to go. What I'd like you to do is introduce yourself, because nobody knows really, other than your good friends. Introduce yourself and say, I remember a time my mother asked me about a different way of whooping because she said she didn't, just what you described to me.
Okay.
Action.
My name is Danielle Horsley. I'm in 12th grade and I go to Fernwood. And
You're in the 12th grade?
I mean,
See how nervous you can get?
You're 12.
yeah,
Okay, say take 2.
take 2. Okay, hi, I'm Danielle Horsley. I'm 12 years old and I go to Fernwood Middle School. And I'd like to tell you about a time where me and my mother had to talk about discipline. I walked in her room, we were sitting down, and she asked me what would I like to do differently about discipline because I used to get whippings. And she told me that I didn't like to get whippings and that they didn't like to whip me. And I don't like to be in trouble as it is. And I didn't want to think of anything, but there's a lot of better things and easier things that there is than hurting your child physically. And so I chose to, my advantages and privileges that I get, I have those taken away when I do something that I'm not supposed to do because I like doing stuff. And if I'm not supposed to do something that I'm not supposed to do, then those good things get taken away.
Such as?
Such as going with my friends or talking on the phone or just spending quality time with people and stuff, friends.
You're very good. I'd like you to stay there and tell me how do you go about helping your brother and sister learn to read?
Well, mostly I help my brother learn to read because he's in kindergarten. That's a good time to start. I read a lot of stories to him that are for his age, which is 5 going on 6. I read him short, easy stories that he can understand, that don't involve big words. The first thing I taught him was to memorize his letters and where the letters, the sounds make. And we're coming along pretty good, processing well.
That's it.
That's it.
All right.
Okay, Africa. The mother of all mothers, the world is her child, and she feeds him well. Africa bathes her body in the Nile and comforts her soul in the pyramids. She is the first woman in her black skin, and her hair coarse hair, and bright eyes, and full lips and hips. To make a god take a second lip, enrich the earth, nourishing spirit. Color the universe, Africa, she is the flower and the tree, the river and the sea, the sun and the moon, from the midnight to high noon. Oftentimes she's dancing with gold around her ankles and diamonds on her feet. Gems from the gods overflow in her backyard. And when her sons play the drums and her daughters start to sing, every ear and heart is held captive in the rhythm of Africa's life. Music flows from her mouth when she speaks, and all her children dance with her. Africa we breathe to the rhythm of her heartbeat. Her blood flows through our veins like sea. We become a storm when we don't feel the safety of our mothers. We want truth, only lies. There is no life, only death. When she is gone, the world becomes a misfit in a universe of the that's why makes me huge. Did you like it?
Yes.
I forgot. Not moan or cry. And this one. I have looked into my father's eyes and seen African sunset. That's by Siana Sanchez. Pretty colors, huh? And they choose strawberry. You guys can choose one. I like
I
that.
choose them.
What about this one? 10 years to one. Want me to show you what page that's on?
I want to do this. Fuck this page.
That's 10 years to one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It is a marvelous thing and all when aunts and uncles come to call. But when our king arrive, all dressed on Sunday in their Sunday best. We two are almost quite forgot. We two are free to play and plot. Free to pray amongst the outer jars. Free to tackle that cigar. And scatter ashes near and far. Free to plunder apple juice. Let our leaping rover loose. Lots of lovely things we do. Plot and plan quickly do when aunts and uncles come to call and rest their wraps in the outer hall. That's Teddy and that's Okay. This is called September. I already know where Africa is, and I already know how to count to 10. I went to school every day last year. Why do I have to do it again? Those are some kids. Think about school.
I love school.
That's good. School's good for education. So you can become whatever you want to be when you grow up. This one?
Yeah.
It's called parades. I like to see parades with the marching bands and big bass drums. They make me want to dance and clap my hands. Ladies ride in convertible cars and smile and wave at you, and clowns come down the street and make you laugh. The parade makes everybody happy. People talk and dance and sing. I like to watch parades more than any other thing. Pretty
Okay.
pictures.
Nisi, thank you. What we like to do, I know it's running
No,
late.
wait a minute, I'm not finished.
Oh, excuse me. Y'all just go ahead. I was wondering now if we could get because she's getting a tight shot of the kids, and there's nothing like a little close up. I was wondering if we could get, for your piece on discipline, we can get a 5-shot interaction, something that the family does normally. Action. Not necessarily talking, action. Washing the dishes.
Their dish routine.
Mommy said, come to four.
And what did she do?
Supervise.
Okay, yeah, 2 supervisors.
You want me to explain what everybody does, basically?
That's fine. Yeah, just interact with them, talk to them, play with them, mess with them, get in their way. Daddy's regular daddy.
This is Elisa. You want to get behind?
Y'all just run this water for you. This is your
DeAndre, make sure nothing's in the chair. Napkins or anything.
And don't forget to write down on that sign on the refrigerator. Just never read aloud what book you read to DeAndre today.
Nobody
Oh, yeah, we gotta get that chart.
mommy.
There's a chart on the table there. We put an example of one happy face out there.
Do you have to act like that?
I know, why you?
She acted like she had too much candy.
I'm there, Mama.
DeAndre, give me a towel so I can
Mama,
You are just wiping.
Uh-oh, watch out, baby. Yeah.
want the mom.
You want to get your own book?
Mom.
Here, I want you to climb up there like you always do. It was, what was the name of that book?
Africa, the land.
No, but do you want the name of the book or the name of the
I guess I can have the name of the poem.
Yeah, Africa, the land,
Okay, Lisa,
Timmy and
that's the
Tawanda.
second time I told you, no happy faces for you. No happy faces.
Go ahead and climb up there. I think you know what it
So everybody remember, before I go to bed, give Lisa her sad face, because she didn't do what she was supposed to do. I told you too many times, twice is enough.
Mom, happy face.
No.
Happy face.
You don't get a happy face. Clean inside of the dog. No, do something, be good then, and then you'll get a happy face. But I told you, if I tell you something 3 times and you don't do it, that's a sad face for you. Because that's too many.
Mom.
Put it in the dish bucket. Yes. There she goes beating me again.
My
Can you get your orange? Yes, you can have an orange. Lisa,
Stop beating me.
go get your orange. You can have that for
Stop
dessert.
it. Stop it.
Sure, I'll put this on side of him.
is. Just watch it.
Stop it.
Watch out.
No.
You gotta go put that on the side of the refrigerator and step over there.
I hope somebody can eat
No,
this
that
dinner
ain't
for
where it
lunch.
goes. Go put it in the right place.
Left over. Oh, did you hear me?
On the side of there. What was that?
Maybe you can have this for lunch or something, because this is what's left over. You don't have to throw it away.
Watch where you walk.
Yeah, I'm gonna need this towel with it.
Mommy, I wanted this something, Mama.
I thought you wanted an orange.
I did.
What something do
You're
you
gonna
want?
have to wait a minute.
Oh.
Okay.
Hey, oh, 2 times at a time. 2 times, 2 times. 2 times, 2 times.
Where's the broom?
This 2 times, 2 times.
Lisa, slow down. Remember, you're trying to get a happy face.
Watch out, man. Don't knock that over. Trying to get all this shit.
Well, maybe I shouldn't sleep until everybody gets out of the kitchen.
Girl, put it on this side. That side is straight.
Boy, that got cleaned up real fast with everybody in here.
Now you love that song.
What song?
What song?
Oh, King Cole?
Well, won't you sing? Sing it a little louder.
I don't know that song. You have to sing it to me.
All right.